What is going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here for your Week 5 Thursday Night Football recap between the New England Patriots and the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to break the game down for you, talk about the good, the bad for each team, and then talk about what I think towards the end of the video, where these teams will be heading in the next couple of weeks. So the New England Patriots win this game on Thursday night, 38-24 at home in front of their home crowd to advance to 3-2. The Indianapolis Colts take the L. They are 1-4 now on the season, although they've had multiple opportunities to improve their record past that. This was not one of those games. They really were never quite in the game. There was a point in the game when they were only down by 7 points, but even then it didn't really feel like the Colts would have or could have won this game. It was just one of those games where there were moments in the game where the game was statistically and on the scoreboard, it was kind of close, but really it wasn't. I feel like the Patriots' mistakes in this football game made this game a lot closer than it really was. And the scoreboard, 38-24, indicates a pretty wide margin. But quite honestly, if you were watching this game from beginning to end, you probably thought this game should have been over a lot earlier than it was, and it probably should have been a wider margin than it ended up being. You do have to credit the Colts and Andrew Luck for their fight towards the end to get this game into competitive territory, for the Patriots to continue to fight towards the end of the game. But again, it was a pretty good victory for the Patriots. There were quite a few sloppy plays. There were a lot of things that they need to fix up before heading into week number 6 to play the Kansas City Chiefs. And we'll talk about those things, as well as there were a lot of guys injured for the Colts. There were some some things that happened through the course of the game on both sides that were quite fluky, sloppy plays that usually don't happen in a typical football game. We'll get into that as well. So let me know in the comments section what you guys thought about this Thursday nighter. Any thoughts on the Patriots as a team, any thoughts on the Colts as a team, and then any thoughts towards the Patriots matchup next week against the Kansas City Chiefs, and any other NFL related questions. Hit me up in the live chat. If you're just joining now, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Also, if you're coming in later and you're not watching this live, be sure to do the same thing. Support the channel, hit the subscribe button, like the video. NFL news videos, NFL analysis videos, recaps, all that stuff is on this channel. Everything NFL you can find here on the Bottom Line View. So let's get into the recap. We have the Patriots winning 38-24. I am rocking a Julian Edelman jersey as he returned to this game. One of the big storylines of this game was Julian Edelman. Probably the biggest storyline of this game was Julian Edelman's return from suspension for the New England Patriots. So let's start off with Julian Edelman. Edelman caught 7 balls for 57 yards on this game on 9 targets. He did not play a full game as he typically would in the past, which I think his snaps will increase as he gets into game shape and as the season progresses and as he has more games under his belt. That's just the way it happens in the NFL. Julian Edelman, he didn't play all the snaps he typically would. He didn't play 100%. But he was out there quite a bit, and he made an impact on the plays that he was in. Just instantly from the very beginning, had the first catch on the first play of the game. They wanted to get him involved early on, and you could just tell that chemistry with Brady was just right there right away. He would find the holes in the zone and make the play, make the catch. He did have one drop on the day for potentially a 20-yard catch on a 3rd down that could have gotten the Patriots more points on the day. That was one of the sloppy plays that happened in this game where Edelman, wide open, had an opportunity to catch the ball, just dropped it straight up. Both teams had those plays happen, and that's a lot to do with the Thursday night football. You know, a lot of teams aren't ready to play on Thursday night. It's a quick week. It's a quick turnaround. Players are still banged up. They're not quite feeling 100%. The game plans aren't quite tweaked and as detailed as they would be on a Sunday. So there is some of that Thursday night element into the sloppy games that you see on Thursday night football. But overall, I mean, I thought Edelman, every time he touched the ball, he was explosive. He had a couple of plays where he broke tackles and made guys miss on the play. Early, I think in the first quarter, he had 3 of his catches. They were just really into getting him the ball early, especially on the first drive. And he was just that guy that you expected, the guy to come in on third down and make those clutch catches and convert them into first downs. So I'm looking forward to seeing Edelman more as the season goes on and getting back with his with the chemistry with Brady, with the offense, and really finding his role for this season. Also, just to mention his punt returns, he had a couple of nice punt returns in this game, but a couple of them I think actually got brought back. The most impressive being he broke like 2 tackles on one play and continued to run for about 10 yards, but the play was called back because of an illegal block on the back. That was an impressive play, and it just let you know that Edelman is still Julian Edelman, and he's still going to be able to make guys miss and break through tackles and be a tough guy to bring down. So that was the biggest thing coming into this game, was how would Edelman look? How would the offense look with him on the team and in the game? And overall, the Patriots offense, I think if you're a Patriots fan, you are very happy with how they looked in this game, but you're also, I don't think you're 100% like overjoyed, because I feel like the Patriots still have a lot of room to grow, and that is in a way a positive in itself, because I felt like there were a couple plays left on the table there for Rob Gronkowski with that fumble / interception / whatever you want to call it. Chris Hogan had a terrible play where it basically hit his hands and then it was intercepted by the Colts. Both of Brady's interceptions were not his fault. It actually was on the receiver more so than him. That's just a case of sloppy football. The run game was not as good during the beginning of the game, but in Patriot fashion, good towards the end of the game when they needed it and when they needed to seal it. James White was great. Not really a concern there. Just getting Josh Gordon more involved, and we saw a flash of it today. Overall, I think, there are, like I said, a lot of things to be happy about with this performance if you're a Patriots fan, but I think there's a lot of things left on the table that if you're a Patriots fan as well, you're going to be like, okay, there were some good things today, building off last week, but we could see it getting better and better and better as the season goes on. So switching over, to the quarterbacks, let's just go with Andrew Luck first off. There is something with Andrew Luck and the Colts where they can never have good starts. And for whatever reason, Andrew Luck is so good from playing from behind, and when he's down and when he's trailing in a football game, he seems to still play really well. And I feel like the Colts just need to get the mindset from the very beginning of the game to play a little bit more fearless than they do. Because when they start to play fearless, like Andrew Luck does in the second half of games, oftentimes he makes plays. And I thought Andrew Luck did play a very good game. And to be honest, if Andrew Luck wasn't one of the top elite quarterbacks in this league, a lot of the plays that were made for his team on offense wouldn't have been made. Let's just say we switched Andrew Luck with even a guy like Andy Dalton, for instance. I don't think the Patriots would have given up 24 points in this game, or I don't think that the Colts would have had much success on offense. I just think Andrew Luck made some really nice throws. He was able to create time in the pocket. He was able to find his receivers and just make ballsy plays that not a lot of quarterbacks will try to make or even be able to make. So Andrew Luck, I thought, had, a really good game, despite at the end, I feel like he always does force the ball a little bit. But again, that's the give and take with Andrew Luck. He's going to make some amazing plays, but also when he's down and he's trying to get his team back in it, you will see those interceptions where it's like a sort of a bonehead play, or, one of the interceptions wasn't really his fault. The receiver did semi-drop it. The defense was right there. But you'll see Luck like force throws, and sometimes it's great and sometimes it doesn't work out. And that's just the case with Andrew Luck. Both quarterbacks finished with 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Andrew Luck, 365 yards. Tom Brady, 341. I thought Tom Brady had a really good game in this one. I think he looked the most like Tom Brady we've seen this year so far. Just very comfortable. I think a lot of that was having his weapons on the field. The offensive line played very well in protecting him in this game, and he was just hitting pretty much every throw that was given to him. He did have a couple throws short that were, not exactly on target, but I felt like most of the plays that were left on the table for the Patriots were more on the receivers than Brady. And I thought Brady did make some really nice plays on this game. Like I said, probably his best overall game this year so far. And like I said as well, I think he's going to get better as the season goes on, just like the other players around him. So both quarterbacks, I thought, put on a show and had very good games. It's just a question with Andrew Luck is like, why can't he have this from the very start? Why isn't he better from the first quarter? And I don't know if that's simply because the Colts are getting outmatched by a team that's just in it right away, and then they sort of take the foot off the gas pedal near the end of the game, or if it's Andrew Luck. Like, I don't really know what it is. The running game for both teams, the Colts, they had a couple of nice plays, but overall it wasn't it wasn't great. I mean, most of the Colts rushing game really came in the second half when they were behind by a lot of points, and the Patriots were sort of just playing pass defense and not really worrying about the run. And that often does happen against the Patriots. Hines led the way with 15 carries, 45 yards. Wilkins also had 6 carries for 39. So 84 yards, 4 yards a carry, but I feel like that's a little bit inflated and just overall not as great as what it really looked like if you watch the game. For the Patriots, they weren't great in the first half running the ball, but again, it's different when you're leading the game and you need to run the ball than when you're behind and you're probably needing to pass the ball. And that's when Sony Michel started to get it going in the second half. He had one really nice run for a touchdown, 34 yards for the touchdown. I think, again, he showed some of his burst through the hole, some of his vision to find the hole, and then just his speed. I think what we've seen from Michel so far is that he, unlike a lot of Patriots backs from the past, when he sees that hole, he's able to hit it with great burst and get a couple more yards than some of the other running backs from the past haven't been able to get. Also, he showed, again, his power in this game, making a couple guys just straight up just hit him and fall off, or him stiff arm them and stuff. I think he's gaining more confidence in this offense. One thing I do want to complain about with Sony Michel is he needs to get more involved in the passing game. And this isn't a thing on Michel. I think this is a thing on the offense and Josh McDaniels and Tom Brady. If this offense wants to hit peak potential, it needs to get a little bit less, a little bit less obvious in what their play calls are. I did like in the second half that when Michel was in the game, they trusted him a little bit more in pass protection and with play action. I thought that was very good, and it really opened up the offense, because most times in the first half when Michel was in the game, I thought they got a little bit too predictable in Michel being in the game and them running the football, whether that was a stretch run, a power run, or whatever it may be. I just felt like Sony Michel was in the game in the first half. It was likely a run, and they were a lot more efficient with James White in the first half on offense. And James White's awesome. Not taking away anything from James White, as he's one of the most underrated players in the NFL. And again, 10 catches, 77 yards, 1 touchdown. There's nothing and no value that can be put on what he brings to this offense. But with Sony Michel, if you have another guy that has the capability of being in the passing game and catching the football and pass blocking, it just makes your offense so much more unpredictable and so much harder to stop. So I just want to see him be a little bit more involved in pass protection and in the screen game and in catching the ball. He did have 1 catch in this game for 12 yards, and he does have the capability of doing that. I just want to see it a little bit more. I know James White's awesome in that area of the game, but it's less predictable if Michel is in the game. The receivers for both teams, I thought Eric Ebron for the Colts had a very nice game for himself. He did have a garbage time touchdown near the end of the game, 15 targets in this game, but it seemed like the Patriots really, when they needed him to catch the football on third down, he came up with the catch. And yeah, he has a little bit of a case of the dropsies every once in a while, but he's a very athletic tight end. He's a big body, and when he's on his game, he's tough to stop. I felt like Devin McCourty had a pretty hard time covering him in this game. It was kind of questionable and interesting to see why Patrick Chung wasn't doing that job. Maybe he's still banged up. I'm not sure, but I just felt like Eric Ebron overall had a very nice game and took advantage of his opportunities in this game as the leading receiver for the Colts. I also thought Chester Rogers had a fairly good game as well. 8 receptions, 11 yards, not as explosive as Ebron in this game, but I thought a lot of times he was that other guy that Luck could trust in this game. And I would say he got the better of Jonathan Jones in this matchup against the Patriots slot corner. Other than that, the Patriots, or the Colts, I should say, their receivers didn't really come to play, or like nobody really stood out. Ryan Grant had 6 catches for 58 yards, but I didn't think any of them were particularly damaging. There was maybe 1 or 2 on third down. But other than that, a lot of them were short passes and nothing really awesome there. Nyheim Hines had 7 for 45, very just blah catches, whatever. Eric Swoop did have a nice touchdown in the game when the game was still relevant, so that's something. And for the Patriots, James White, like I said, was awesome. He always is. Gronk, I thought, had a pretty decent game overall, and I just felt like he had more space to operate. The one fumble / interception / whatever you want to call it was a poor play on his end, I felt. But other than that, I mean, he's dealing with an injury right now, and he still was able to fight through that and play a good game and play a lot. So that was nice to see from Gronk. I brought up Edelman. Josh Gordon's catch, I got to bring it up. Geez, that was a really nice catch. Honestly, that reminded me of the Randy Moss days, and I don't want to get into these comparisons because Randy Moss is amazing, and he's one of the greats, but the way that the ball was underthrown, it wasn't the greatest pass in the world by Tom Brady, and there was 2 guys in the vicinity for the Colts. And people were saying on Twitter, I'm not going to single anybody out, that there was a poor play from the Colts. But if you actually watch the play, the Colts defenders did not see Josh Gordon behind them or did not think that he had the capability of making that play because only a few receivers on planet Earth could actually make that play. Josh Gordon was able to come from behind those 2 defenders, jump over them, and put his arms out and catch the ball. That reminded me a lot of Randy Moss because if you look at Patriot highlights back in the day from Randy Moss, that is a lot of what Randy Moss was able to do. Win jump balls, even in the most impossible of situations. So if Josh Gordon can give that to this offense, it's going to be something special. I did think he should be playing more. I just want to put that out there. He should be playing more. I don't care that he doesn't get the full grasp of the offense quite yet. I don't care that he has a little bit of a hamstring injury. He is already better than Chris Hogan. He gives more to the offense, and he's such an explosive playmaker that you can throw that ball up to Dorsett or Hogan, but you can with Josh Gordon, and he just adds that element. Plus, you see the Colts worrying about him when he's on the field. There's a different mindset when you're a defender when Josh Gordon's on the field compared to when Chris Hogan's on the field. It's just the difference between the 2 players as athletes and as receivers. Just overall, I just want to see, and I know that we're going to have now 10 days to get to the Chiefs game. Hopefully he's more involved in that game, but I just feel like he needs to get on the field more. I actually think Philip Dorsett, Chris Hogan had more yards in this game. I feel like Dorsett is outplaying Hogan overall as a route runner, separating from defenders, and overall not making mistakes. I thought Hogan has just made a couple mistakes and not came up with a lot of plays. I honestly feel like Dorsett has been the better receiver so far this year, and I would have Gordon and Dorsett over him right now. And I also think Dorsett's speed also threatens the defense a little bit more. Cordero Patterson also had a touchdown early in the game. It was a nice designed screen pass, similar to the one in Super Bowl 51 that they got to Danny Amendola, if you remember that play. So the defense overall for both teams, nobody really stood out for the Colts. I would say Jabal Sheard had a pretty good game overall. He was the one guy that was getting a bit of pressure. Other than that, their linebackers played admirably. I wouldn't say like really well, but they made some plays in this game. And they just held it together because they had so many injuries that it was just tough to deal with. But overall, their linebackers didn't play bad. And I thought this scheme from the Colts defense was about as good as it could have been. With the players that they had out there, I felt like the defensive coordinator for the Colts, whose name is escaping, he's a first-year guy just was in college last year. It was a lot of very safe defense, not a lot of pressure defense. but you don't really want to pressure the Patriots because of all the weapons they have and also because of Tom Brady and his quick decision making. But like their ability to play coverage, it was very sound. And I didn't feel like they gave up any gashing plays or any plays that were like wide open or anything like that. Like it was just very sound defense. Although it was conservative, I felt like it was a good game plan. Like I didn't think it was a bad game plan. It was just them being simply outmanned and the Patriots offense being really hard to stop overall. Like you're not going to see a defense in New England with all these weapons intact and the offensive line intact stopping New England for under 28 points. It just usually doesn't happen. And for the Colts to play this well, I thought it was admirable in that fashion. For the Patriots defense, I thought Patrick Chung had a pretty good game. Had a half a sack, had an interception, had a quarterback hit and a pass deflection, 11 tackles. And he continues to be one of the unsung heroes of this defense. I thought Kyle Van Noy played a really good game in the run game. Jason McCourty, again, had a good game, 2 pass deflections. I didn't think Jonathan Jones, this was his strongest game. Trey Flowers wasn't his strongest game. He did have half a sack. Lawrence Guy, not as noticeable as in weeks past, but was fine. Other than that, like nobody really stood out. Gilmore really, they didn't really try him many times. He had 3 pass deflections. I think he maybe gave up 1 play, but he was fine overall. The Colts, and I thought both defenses weren't bad. The Patriots defense, they were giving up yards and plays at the end of the game, but like it's hard to put that into context, to be honest. Like the whole team for the Patriots had a tough third quarter and they gave up 7 points. So, I mean, it's tough to really put that into context. So we'll see how they play against the Chiefs next week in a more important game, not a more important game, but a bigger game against a better opponent with, of course, a great offense. So if the Patriots defense can at least continue to start games the way they did this game, where they only gave up 3 points in the first half, the Patriots are going to win pretty much every single game this year. You rarely ever see the Patriots give up a lead. So if the Patriots defense can play that well in the first half in every game they play, they're going to win every game they play. It's as simple as that. You would have liked to seen a little bit more pressure from the Patriots defense. A couple of things I didn't like from their defense was they sent 5 a couple times. I never like sending 5 as a personal opinion because it's like one guy on every blocker and there's really no use of it. You're losing a guy in coverage instead, or you could just blitz 6 and have an extra guy coming. So to me, I didn't like that at a certain point in the game. They tried that a couple times. I just didn't like that very much. Other than that, I felt like the front 4 wasn't overly successful in this game. I thought the Colts offensive line, which is underrated, by the way, had a pretty good game overall. So that's pretty much the game in a nutshell. And I think I covered most of the big plays. If you guys have any questions about the game itself, let me know. But I'm going to go to the comments right now. So going to the comments, we start off with Sebastian, who says, hi. What's going on, Sebastian? Michael says, lucky win. Just kidding. What's going on, Michael? Hot Take Hockey says, hey, sports fans. Michael says, real test next week. Play an overrated Dolphins team and a bad Colts team. I guess we'll see how overrated the Dolphins are. I mean, they're 3-1. They did beat a Titans team who's also 3-1. And they're playing the Bengals this week, so I guess we'll see how legitimate they are. I feel like the Dolphins are a decent team. I'm not going to say they're a great team or anything, but beating them 38-7, I still think is pretty impressive. And in this game, I know the Colts aren't great, but they've been competitive in every game they've played, and they've had a chance to win every game they've played. Kevin Durkant says, overrated Dolphins, ? Sebastian says, what was your reaction on Mitchell Trubisky getting 6 touchdowns? Oh, this is a late question. Well, Sebastian, I thought it was awesome because I love Mitchell Trubisky. I don't think we'll see that very much over the course of the year. I do think a lot of that has to fall on the Bucs defense and their horrible scheme and just the way they were playing overall. And I don't think, a ton of it was the masterful Bears offense. But, I mean, Trubisky was on the money, and he made the plays and made the throws when they were there. So you got to give him credit for that. Derek Coach says, game flattered the Colts. I do think so to a certain degree, but you kind of also have to give them credit for continuing to fight in the game. Miguel says, Gilmore had a quiet game. Yeah, I sometimes for a corner, that's good, though. And I think the Patriots and the Colts, no, I would say mostly the Patriots because the Colts did capitalize off the mistakes the Patriots made. But from the Patriots' point of view, there were a lot of like dropped interceptions or like plays that they could have had their hands on. I did think Devin McCourty made a really nice play on the strip, which was a forced play. That was a forced turnover, which is always nice to see from your defense. And I think as Teddy Bruschi tweeted after the game, as the offense continues to get better, you're going to see the defense become more aggressive and forcing more turnovers. So that's going to be nice to see. I want to see the Patriots defense a little bit more aggressive in forcing the issue, because I think if they can force the issue a couple of times during a game, that's just going to give the Patriots that much more of an advantage because their offense is that good. And I'd rather them do that than be conservative the full way through, personally. James White went off. I know it seems like James White went off, but if you actually look at this season so far, James White, he seems to go off every game. I just think he's a good player. Robot Guy says that Gordon touchdown made me think of Moss. Not saying he is, by the way. I agree with that. Michael says Josh is no Moss. Party says our stupid GM or coach took Darius Leonard, Clayton Gathers, and Anthony Costanzo all out of the game, even though they were healthy. That's interesting. Maybe they're saving them for next week and don't want to really risk it. How about Sony Michelle, though? He says Michelle with 2 L's. It's 1 L, just so you know. He was good. I pretty much said, overall, he wasn't, like in the first half, he didn't really have a lot of room to run, but I felt like when he did get an opportunity to break a play, he definitely did. Every short yardage, he seemed to get it, except for that one time where he actually did get it, but they didn't challenge it. And, every 3rd and 1, he's been efficient. Last year, a big thing for the Patriots offense was they weren't great on 3rd and short, but this year so far with Michelle, it seems like he's really good in those situations. So that's another thing to add to this offense, as well as the fact that he has the capability of bursting through the hole and making a play on the run. Hot Take Hockey says, ready for the test. I'm going to study some more after this, but, we'll see how it goes, man. Party says, at least we had a chance with our roster being 70% backups today. Yeah, at least you had a chance. I think that's a positive. And if I'm a Colts fan, I'm just saying, there's some positives to this team. They have a lot of young talent. I think it's positive that they fight till the end. They're always in the game. And luck looks like luck. I think that's the biggest thing to take away from this game. Poncho says, what do you think about the upcoming Pats versus Chiefs game? I think it's going to be interesting. I actually picked the Jaguars to beat the Chiefs, so we'll see if I'm wrong there. The Chiefs are always good at the start of the year. Around week 6, week 7, week 8, teams start to figure them out. So it's going to be interesting to see. It is in New England. I think it should be a high-scoring game. I think whatever defense makes 1 or 2 more plays is probably going to win it. But, obviously the Patriots have their hands full with that offense because that offense is electric, tough to stop. And I think in that game, they just got to control the ball on the offensive side of the football. I think the run game is going to be big in that game. Sony Michel, I think just the long drives that the Patriots can make. Julian Edelman, I think, will have a huge game in that game. I just think the Patriots are going to need to control the clock, and then defensively, they need to force field goals, and they need to basically make 1 or 2 plays in the game to win it. So I think overall, it's going to be a close game. I think Mahomes is legit. Mahomes is a beast, and that offense has so many weapons. It's going to be tough to contain, but as long as the Patriots can play like they do on offense, then I think the Patriots have a better defense than the Chiefs. So I think that might be the advantage there. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. The Chiefs do sort of have the Patriots number, or even though the only time they played in the Patriots, the only time they played in the playoffs, the Patriots won. But it's going to be interesting. I don't know. We'll see. And I also think a lot will be said this week against the Jaguars, because I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Jaguars for some reason. I don't know. But we'll see this weekend. They have a home game against one of the best teams in the NFL. We'll see how that works out, and then I'll have a better idea from there against the Patriots. So that's going to wrap it up for the Patriots Colts Thursday Night Football recap. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for your NFL news, recaps, reactions, picks, and more. It's Mitch of the Bottom Line View. We'll see you next time. Tomorrow night, I'll have my fantasy start and sit them out. So check that out. If you have any questions about your fantasy team, leave that in that video. All right, guys. Peace out.